The Mauryas. Mauryas, the Mauryan Empire. Getting it? I generally put it as Maurya because the entire one was not an empire. So when you look at the bracket, yeah, tell me, what is the bracket? Very good. 321 BC to 187 BC. Hold on with the bracket. You have to memorize the bracket. 321 to 187. Some books will give you 185 plus or minus 1 or 2. So Mauryan Empire, capital Patliputra. Court language Prakrit, followed by Pali, followed by Magadhi. If they ask you all the three in your option, all the three are correct. If they ask you only one, any one, that is also right. But Prakrit will be the first one. I've given it in order. Prakrit was a court language, followed by Pali, followed by Magadhi. This was the first empire of India. First empire of India. And the founder being Chandragupta Maurya. Founder, I've given you the founder, and I'll give you the last ruler. The last ruler being Brihadatta. So again, names are same. Haryanka dynasty also we had Brihadatta. So here it's also Brihadat. Brihadatta, however you call him. So 321 Chandragupta Maurya, 187. Some books will say 185. It's Brihadat. Try to study the founder, last ruler, capital, court language. I've given you all of them. So here we have one greatest ruler called Ashoka. Ashoka is seated here. Shall we go? Maurya, 321 to 187 BC. Yeah. Shall we go? Dynasties are small, empires are big. So whenever you have a vast geographical area, getting it, we generally call that as an empire. So the first empire of India is Mauryan Empire. We say Magadhan Kingdom. Getting it? Empire, when you cross Narmada and you come beyond, or you take a bigger stretch, we generally have a criteria. Any dynasty or any king, let's put it this way to make it simple. Because since you asked, I tell this for optional kids only. Any dynasty or a kingdom, if it has got its territory more than 1500 kilometers at one stretch, 1500 kilometers, if they cross 1500 kilometers at one stretch, we call that as an empire. In between, there should not be any gap. If you draw India, you draw India like this. Let's take someone has got a kingdom like this. One stretch. From here to here at one stretch. What will be the kilometer difference from here to here? 1500. So we can call this as an empire. But Magadhans, the problem was some kingdoms were in between. There was some tribal monarchy here. So the stretch got cut. When the stretch gets cut, it is not an empire. Are you all getting the idea? So we have some small calculation there. So Magadhan Empire had some small oligarchy, tribal kingdom here and there. But when you look at Mauryas, they came to South India. They were the first kingdom to have pan-India. Pan-India. So we also came inside Mauryan Empire. So automatically what happened? The stretch will be more, 3000 kilometer. Getting almost 2700 kilometer approximately. When you put Sri Lanka also, don't you think from Kashmir to Sri Lanka, it's almost 3000 kilometer? Randomly when you take it. So automatically when a king has got from Kashmir to Sri Lanka, how do you call the kingdom? Empire. That's why we say Ashoka was the first ruler to have pan-India. And Ashoka, during Ashoka, it became an empire. And even with Chandragupta Maurya, he came till Karnataka. So empire is that. These technical details no one will ask you, but just keep it. Anything which is big, we use the term what? Empire. Mughal, empire. Getting it? Gupta, empire. Vijayanagar, empire. Getting it? We say what? Bamini kingdom. Have you heard? The Vijayanagar empire and the Bamini kingdom. Tughlaq dynasty. We never say Tughlaq empire, which means they were all divided. So it's a generic term. Empires are big, dynasties are small. And when a king who rules on an empire, generally we use the term emperor. Akbar was a Mughal emperor. Are you getting? Because emperor rules a big geographical area and where multiple ethnicities, multiple cultures will be inside. That's a very generic term we use. We don't say Akbar as a great king. We use the term what? Emperor. Ashoka, the great emperor. Are you getting it, ma? These are some terms, but it's right. Also, you can use king also. But don't be so cautious. I tell this to my optional kid children only. Be very careful because in optional, you have to use it in a right way. But even though you use king, they're not going to cut your mark. Let's write it nicely so that the answer looks complete. That's the only thing. Don't think to know B. Mahapadmanand was, we call it as a dynasty only, kingdom. But still, some small parts were with tribes. That's why, there's a debate going on whether to call them as Magadha Empire or Magadha Dynasty. But we call it as Magadha King. So clear? Mauryas. So they were the first empire of India. Now, who was the founder? Chandragupta Maurya. To get into any kingdom, now first we learn the sources. So I'll make it like 4A sources. Sources to study. The chapter number is 4. The first source to study the Mauryan Empire is, the first one would be Puranas. Puranas gives the entire list of all the Mauryan rulers. It gives the entire list of all the Mauryan rulers. I told you Puranas were like Hindu newspaper, remember? So it gives us the list. So the first ruler, or we call him as the founder. So who was the founder of Mauryan Empire? Chandragupta Maurya. We know that already, I've given you. And the last ruler was Brihadatta. So there are many rulers in between. We'll touch them once we open the topic rulers. So according to Puranas give us the list of all the Mauryan ruler. We get to know about everyone from the Purana. See, when you're in short of the ruler's name, anywhere, let it be Satavahana, let it be any kingdom, not South India, North Indian kingdom. But Satavahanas, Puranas have covered. Any North Indian kingdom, if you want to know the list of the names, the ruler's name in order, which is the best source to study? Purana. You open Purana, you'll get the names of all the kings in an order, when they ruled and all of them. So it's a very good source to study. Mauryas, the first source. The second source to study is Mudra Rakshasha. Mudra Rakshasha, written by Vishagadatta. So the second source to study is Mudra Rakshasha, a book written by Vishagadatta. The book was written in Sanskrit. And what does this book mention? It mentions about how Chanakya placed Chandragupta Maurya on the throne. How Chanakya placed Chandragupta Maurya on the throne. So it is a real story. You can make it like this, of how Chanakya placed Chandragupta Maurya on the throne. So Mudra Rakshasha is a solid source to study about the Maurya. It's a real story of how Chanakya placed Chandragupta Maurya on the throne. Did I tell you the story, ma? Yeah. So what? He was a historian. I write a book about Gandhi today, about Dandi March. Was I there during Gandhi seeing the Dandi March? Romila Thapar wrote a book about Mauryas. Was she there during Mauryas? Historians can go back and write. He was a historian. Are you all there? Historians can generally go back. That's the charm of historians. Any book which comes later, which means they would be historian. That's why we take it. Shall we go? See, I told you some story about Dhanananda. Did I tell you that? Okay, fine. Come back. A small story. Alexander. I told you the story of Alexander Porus. We did that story. Now let's take Alexander is waiting on the border. I'm going back to the story. Alexander is waiting on the borders of Indus, not knowing how to cross. Now let's introduce a character. There was a teacher called Kautilya in the Takshila University. Did I tell you the story? No. Okay, Kautilya, also called as Chanakya. He was a professor in the Takshila University. He was teaching political science and economics and warfare, archery. He used to teach archery for the students. One day, what did Chanakya do? I'll call him Chanakya, but he was called Kautilya. Chanakya, one day, he took his students to just, teach them archery to the Gandhara forest. When he was teaching them archery, these students came back to Chanakya telling that there are the Greeks standing on the borders of that side. So Indus, Alexander was standing there, right? Alexander's army is standing there. So they came running telling to Chanakya that the Greeks are standing there. Chanakya was like, why are they standing there? Just go inquire and come. He sent some of his students telling, go find out who are they and what is them. So these students came back to Chanakya telling that they are the Greeks. Alexander is standing there. So they're bringing the name of Alexander. A big, huge army of 4,000 soldiers are standing. And Alexander is planning to attack India. India in the sense, Punjab, Gandhara. Then he's planning to attack Magadha. And he'll attack Southeast Asia. They're bringing a detailed report to Chanakya. After hearing that, Chanakya was upset. Why? Because what upset Chanakya was like, he got an additional information that Ambi has invited Alexander to defeat Porus. That, made Chanakya very upset. Why should Ambi invite Alexander? So Chanakya, after inquiring all these, he went and met Ambi. He went and met Ambi. Ambi welcomed Chanakya. No, Chanakya asked Ambi, Ambi, did you do this? Did you invite Alexander to defeat Porus? So Ambi said, yes, I want Porus to die. I want Punjab. I want him to die. So Chanakya said, don't you think it's unethical? You're calling a Greek ruler to attack Porus. And Greeks are termites. They come, they take a kingdom, they're like termites. They keep on eating all the kingdom. And his plan is to attack Magadha. Do you think they'll leave us? And that Greco culture, Yavana, all that, traders, we're all telling about them. Once they come and occupy, they will appoint governors and go. And the Indian sovereignty will be lost. Don't you think? Chanakya is a man who's talking about political science, writing a book called Arthasastra, writing about sovereignty. And you allow Greeks to attack. Don't you think your sovereignty would be lost? Chanakya never wanted the Greeks to come. So he's telling Ambi, don't invite Alexander to attack. But Ambi was, he lost his sense. He told, I want Porus to die. So immediately what did Ambi say? Acharya, go, leave. You're a teacher, you better go. So Chanakya didn't know what to do. So now what happened? Chanakya starts thinking, let me go to Dhanananda. Let me meet Dhanananda and ask his help so that this Alexander's entry could be stopped. With all hardships, he took his horse and he went where? To Patliputra to meet Dhanananda. Imagine from Takshila, Pakistan, he's going to Patna, Patliputra to meet Dhanananda. He saw the streets, he saw the markets. It was a big journey. It's not like today, tomorrow. Months of travel, finally he reached Patliputra. Dhanananda welcomed him. When Chanakya entered Patliputra, he never heard anything good about Dhanananda. People were all talking bad about Dhanananda, that he used to tax us so heavily. Don't you think, ma? People's voice is about the ruler, isn't it? So whenever we talk something about the ruler, it is the people's voice. So when Chanakya heard, nothing was good about Dhanananda. He heard all bad things, that he was having a bad character. He was into that pleasure mode. He used to humiliate his nobles. He used to, mock at them by laughing at them. Body shame. He had these kind of culture. Who? Dhanananda. So when Chanakya heard that, he was not fond of meeting Dhanananda. But his army was very strong. He had a very strong army. 6,000 elephants were there on the border. So Chanakya thought, okay, let me go and meet him. And don't you think Nandas were Shudras? The founder was a Shudra. Chanakya knew everything. He was very smart. So he thought, okay, let me go and meet. And even the soldiers were not Dhanananda. So with all these, now he goes to meet Dhanananda. Dhanananda receives charging him, dear Acharya, you've come all the way. What made you to come here to Patliputra? From Takshila University, you've come here. Now Chanakya tells Dhanananda, I've come here for an emergency. There is a man called Alexander standing in the border. He's planning to attack us, my kingdom. And my ruler has signed a pact with him to defeat Porus. Then his next target is you. Do you know that? Dhanananda said, yes, I know that he's planning to attack us. I read Hindu last night. I know everything. So, I know all the current affairs. So immediately Chanakya appreciated Dhanananda telling, very good, a king should be well informed. I appreciate that you're well informed. So Dhanananda said, I have a very good spy system. The spies were very strong then, the spy system. So he narrated it. Dhanananda was, the way he was, Chanakya was impressed actually on the way he was, his talking way, his behavior. He never did, whatever he heard was not visible. Because, and he had huge respect on Chanakya. So now immediately he said, yes. Now Chanakya asked him, then can you come and fight with Alexander? Now Dhanananda asks him, why would I come? Why would I come and fight when someone comes and attacks someone? The day he touches my border, I will thrash him. I will kill him. But till he touches my border, why should I come? So the Chanakya says, no, you should come. If you allow them to enter via the Khyber and the Bolan, things are gone. After that, the Greeks will start penetrating. Let's stop them. Now, Dhanananda says, Acharya, listen. Because we have boundary now. If Alexander touches Gandhara, why should Dhanananda go? That was his stake. But Chanakya was like, no, you can come and you can help us. To help you, your ruler should come and ask me, not a teacher. Don't you think so? There's a kind of a protocol. Who should ask what? You're a teacher coming and asking me. Your ruler should come and talk to me. Why would I come? The day Alexander touches Magadha, my elephants will enter. So now Chanakya was able to understand, okay, fine. Okay, Dhanananda, you do one thing. You don't come, but you give your army to me. I will take your army and I will go fight with Alexander. Do you think who will give his army? So now Dhanananda is asking, Acharya, do you speak sense? Is this the way you talk to a ruler? Do you want me to give an army? King is the commander in chief. And why would a king give an army to a teacher who comes just like that today and asks the army? Who would give it? So, but since Chanakya was very, very powerful and influential, he thought Dhanananda would give. But Dhanananda was a Magadhan ruler. He was not a normal small ruler. He said, I'll not give my army. Dhanananda said, give. I'll not give. Chanakya said, give. They both entered into a quarrel. Quarrel became big, big, big. They started, touching on the wrong sides of each other. Finally, it reached a boiling point. Chanakya got so angry. He was so adamant that he'll not leave the court. Dhanananda said, Acharya, please leave the court. I said, no, you please leave the court. Chanakya is saying, till you give the army, I will not leave the court. Both are adamant. So finally what happened, Chanakya thought, let me prick him. If I prick him, at least he'll give the army. So Chanakya immediately said, Dhanananda, you are a Shudra. If you were a Kshatriya, you would have given the army. Prick. The moment you prick a king, what will a king do? The moment he pricked him, Dhanananda got angry. He said, look at your hair, look at your teeth, look at you, look at the color of your skin. Are you a Brahmana? You are like, you are dark. So he started body shaming Chanakya. Chanakya got angry. He said, your king should not do this. This is a bad character on a king. And all the nobles started laughing. The moment they started bullying Chanakya, Chanakya was very much upset and angry. He didn't expect this. I come for a professional assignment and you're bullying me personally. On my hair and the teeth, and he had a little bit of belly. His skin was dark because of the sun tan. All those were taken into consideration and he was bullied. Now, all were laughing. Chanakya got angry. He untied his hair and he immediately screamed, Dhanananda, I take a vow that I will kill you and I will kill you a place a Kshatriya on the throne. Till then, I will not tie my hair. He took a vow and he is moving towards Pakistan, Takshila. Dhanananda was like, fine. A Brahmana taking a vow. And now Chanakya was so angry, he had long hair. He opened his hair and that vow, he has to fulfill the vow. In those days, when people need to take a vow, they untie their hair. Hair will be open till that vow is fulfilled, only then they'll tie their hair. That was a culture then, at that point of time. Now he's walking in the deep forest, he was going in his horse. That night he slept in the forest, the next day he woke up. The moment he woke up, he saw a young man sitting next to him under a tree. He saw that young man, the young man saw him, no smile, nothing. Like your batch and me, first class. Are you looking at each other, no smile, nothing, rigid? They were like, Chanakya was like walking here and there. He just went to the Ganges, did all his bath and all of them, come back, walking. After Chanakya, this man goes inside the river, he has his bath, he comes back, he's sitting under the tree. He had some bow and arrow. Bow and arrow, he was just having in his hand, he was sitting all alone. No one spoke anything. After a few hours, this man comes near Chanakya and he knelt down. He said, dear Brahmana, you look like a Brahmana because that white thread, the hair and all of them. Dear Brahmana, I'm hungry. I have 2 packets of food with me. According to our culture, a Brahmana should eat first. It's better you eat first, I will eat because I'm hungry. So Chanakya was very angry. He was walking here and there. He said, who are you? This man said, I'm Chandragupta Maurya. What are you doing here? He said, I was born here at Vaishali. This is my birthplace. My father was a chief here in this Vaishali on a small clan. My father, like Mahavir's father, Buddha's father, my father was a clan chief. He was here. There was a conspiracy where my father was killed by my maternal uncles. After my father died, my mother also died. Now my maternal uncles have taken the throne. So I'm here, sitting here. So Chanakya said, this is bad. You go talk to the Samiti. Samiti, you got the Samiti. Go talk to the Samiti. Convene the Samiti. You should be the king now. You should be the chief. Why are you sitting here? Don't you think that's adharma? Your dharma is you have to go sit on the throne. Why are you sitting here all alone? So go talk to the Samiti. Chandragupta Maurya said, no, I don't want to. So Chanakya thought, okay, maybe something is stopping him. Shall I come with you? I will talk in the Samiti. Look how people were helping. I will come with you. I will talk to the Samiti because you have to be on the throne. And don't you think it's unjust? You're making your family members to sit on the throne. A king's son should be a ruler, and you look like a king. Why don't you sit? Now Chandragupta Maurya was laughing. He said, no, I don't want to be the king of my clan. So Chanakya said, don't you think that is not the right way a king's son should speak? Then what do you want to become? So Chandragupta Maurya said, I want to become the ruler of Magadha. Chanakya was like, Magadha? You? You're sitting here. Do you know who's ruling Magadha? Just now he got all left and right and he's on the way. Getting it? Do you know who's ruling Magadha? He said, yes, Dhanananda is ruling Magadha. Do you know how Dhanananda is? He's not that a great ruler. He taxes people. He's not got a good character. He's got all the bad vices. So his army is strong. That's why Dhanananda is sitting on the throne. So I don't like him to be the ruler. I'm planning to defeat him. That's why I'm sitting here. So Chanakya is like, oh, sitting with bow and arrow to defeat Dhanananda. So he's saying, I'm thinking, I want to become the ruler of Magadha. I'm planning and I'm thinking what to do. I know his army is strong, but I don't know what to do. That's what I'm thinking here. Chanakya is like, don't you think it's all hypothetical? Sitting here and making a plan. Okay, let's take a thing. You become the Magadhan ruler. What will you do? You're sitting and you're so young. What will you do? So immediately Chandragupta Maurya said, the day I become the Magadhan ruler, I will take my huge army. I will go defeat Alexander. Chanakya is like, wow, Alexander? Do you know Alexander? Chandragupta Maurya says, yeah, they are Greeks, they are termites. If you allow them to enter, they will eat the entire subcontinent and they will begin to rule. I don't want them to rule. Chanakya was very smart. His dots were all connected. And immediately he said, will you come with me? I will make you the king. So Chandragupta Maurya said, yes, I will come with you. With blind trust, he followed Chanakya. They both went to Takshila. Years of training was given to Chandragupta Maurya on everything. So don't ask me, ma'am, on what? Everything. He was given years of training. So that was a perfect Guru Shishya. Whatever the teacher said, the disciple, the student followed it. Now finally, 2 years before killing Dhanananda, they both came to Patliputra. Chanakya was a very influential Brahmana. He came to Patliputra and they sowed seeds of dissension to all the subjects, which means what they planted. So all the people disliked Dhanananda. Now they planted against all the nobles. Nobles are all against Dhanananda. The soldiers are all against Dhanananda. But poor Dhanananda did not know this. Chanakya planted everything for the next 2 years. Everything were under the control of Chanakya. He was a brain behind it. All the spies were taken under the control of Chanakya. This one line will suffice everything. Chanakya, the Dhanananda's royal chef, who used to cook food for Dhanananda, he cooked the food. The menu was from Chanakya. So imagine, Chanakya has entered the kitchen. Anyone who takes control of the kitchen, done, out. I think even in Indian family, kitchen is something where, we take control, particularly, be it boys or girls. It's a life skill. No, nothing harm to learn cooking. Cooking is not only for women. All should learn cooking because whatever you need to learn, it's become a life skill in today's generation. So, taking control of the royal chef. So Chanakya was influential to the kitchen. Now the day came, the year is 321. They both knew that if you fight an open battle with Dhanananda, you will not win. Because he's got a huge army. And these two doesn't have a big army and all. So they thought only a conspiracy can work. So they made a plan, and in 321 BC, by afternoon, they both entered the palace of Dhanananda. Dhanananda was sleeping. Afternoon king used to take some nap. So afternoon the palace will be closed. The moment they both entered the palace, the security guards opened the palace. They both entered. The palace is locked. They both entered the king's chamber. Getting it? The moment they entered the chamber, Dhanananda was lying on his cot. The moment he saw both of them, he was like, how could you enter this chamber? Because king's chamber keeps on changing. No one will know where the king is. That's how in ancient time it was. The moment Dhanananda saw these two, he was like taken aback. He shouted and screamed, soldiers, come. They all came running to the chamber and they all saluted Chanakya and Chandragupta Maurya. So Dhanananda was helpless. Now Chanakya asked Dhanananda, do you remember me? How would Dhanananda forget him? Are you getting it? He humiliated him so badly. And Chanakya was a very popular teacher at that point of time. So immediately Dhanananda, he couldn't take his eyes back. So Chanakya pushed Dhanananda telling that, I told you that I would place a Kshatriya on the throne. He gave the sword to Chandragupta Maurya, and Chandragupta Maurya took the sword. Meantime, when Chandragupta Maurya took the sword, Chanakya was tying his hair. He was just rolling his hair, he was making a bun. Chandragupta Maurya killed Dhanananda in 321 BC. The same day, Chandragupta Maurya was coronated by whom? Chanakya, since he belonged to the Maurya clan. The dynasty was named as Maurya dynasty, which later became the Mauryan Empire. Maurya dynasty empire. That's why it's the first empire. So the clan name is the empire name. So this is the story. Clear? So now, where do we find this story? We find it in Mudra Rakshasa. It's a real story because he was a historian who wrote this story. There are multiple versions in this story. Multiple versions. See, when you go to a particular place and when you come from a particular state or a particular city, your city will have a particular version. Don't you think locals will know it much better? But local version is always oral. We go with the historicity only. If you come to my hometown, I will have a different version of my hometown. But the books will talk about the Pandyas of Madurai. They will say something. But I'm from Madurai. My oral source, my oral transmissions will be more stronger than the book. This is where history, gets into confusion. But we don't rely on oral sources. We go on with facts here. So this is the story. Now my question to you is, did Chandragupta Maurya and Dhanananda have a battle? No. Did Alexander and Chandragupta Maurya meet? No. Did Dhanananda and Alexander meet or have a battle? No. This is what you need to understand. If you know the story, you know what exactly happened. So getting it, so it was a conspiracy which was hatched, and finally, who was the brain behind the Mauryan Empire? Chanakya was the brain behind. So this is what is about Mudra Rakshasa. We've done the story. So clear? Now the third source. Yeah. Mura from Chandragupta Maurya, mother. Yeah, that's a local one. Historians, we don't have a particular proof to talk about that. Local traditions are very strong. You go to Punjab, they'll have a very different version. Alexander Punjab. So everyone in this region, local versions are there. But historians, we go with fact. Yeah, the third source. Buddhist text. The third source, Buddhist texts. If you take the Buddhist text, the first one, Mahavamsa. The second text, Deepavamsa. So I repeat, Mahavamsa, Deepavamsa. There are two Buddhist texts. What are these? These two were Ceylon Chronicles. Ceylon Chronicles. I just now told you, any Buddhist text, you can close your eyes, the language would be Pali. So there are two books called Mahavamsa and Deepavamsa. They both are Ceylon Chronicles. What do we find in these two texts? It is mentioned that Ashoka, the Maurya ruler, Maurya, Ashoka, the Maurya ruler, sent his son and daughter. Ashoka sent his son and daughter to Ceylon to spread Buddhism. So we get this information from which two books? Mahavamsa and Deepavamsa. So what was Ashoka's son name? His son name was Mahinda and his daughter name was Sangamitra. So we get this information from Mahavamsa and Deepavamsa. I repeat, Mahavamsa and Deepavamsa are Ceylon, Sri Lankan chronicles. Day-to-day events were recorded. In both the book, we get one king's name mentioned about our king, our Mauryan king. Ashoka, the Maurya ruler, sent his son Mahinda or Mahendra and his daughter Sangamitra to Sri Lanka to spread Buddhism. So this is what is mentioned in these two books. By learning this information, what do we understand? We understand Ashoka sent his children to Sri Lanka. So can we say he had Sri Lanka under his control? And Mahinda and Sangamitra, they were monks there at Ceylon. They died there. And Mahinda was a crown prince. Crown prince, Yuvraj. So Ashoka sent the Yuvraj. Sangamitra was his favorite daughter. So his favorite two were sent there to spread Buddhism. So Ashoka did that. Why? To tell the people that Buddhism was more important, says Mahavamsa and Deepavamsa. So on taking these two books, we learn about a Mauryan ruler called Ashoka. That's it. So this is a source to study Mauryas. Now the fourth one. Shall we go? The fourth source, Jain texts. Jain texts always written in Prakrit. So the first Jain text is Kalpa Sutra. Learn books and author ma. Kalpa Sutra by Bhadra Bahu. So the first Jain source is Kalpa Sutra. This came in one prelims long back. Kalpa Sutra written by Bhadra Bahu. Bhadra Bahu. Who went to South Shravana Belagola? Very good. So remember the Jain monk. So what is there in Kalpa Sutra? He mentions that Chandragupta Maurya was a Jain. So the first Mauryan ruler was a Jain. And he left Magadha. Chandragupta Maurya left Magadha, reached Shravana Belagola. Reached Shravana Belagola, took Santara and attained. Took Santara and attained Mahakaivalya at Chandragiri. I'm written MKV, that's Mahakaivalya. Hope you know them. Mahakaivalya at Chandragiri. So Chandragiri, Shravana Belagola, both of them are at Karnataka, nearby place. So he writes, the first Mauryan ruler, Chandragupta Maurya, was a Jain. He left Magadha and he came with me. Where? To Shravana Belagola. We both went to Shravana Belagola and he took Santara, which means Chandragupta Maurya has attained Kaivalya. He's at only a Kaivalya student can take Santara. So he took Santara and attained Mahakaivalya, which means he died. Which place did he die? Karnataka. What is the name of the place? Chandragiri. He died at Chandragiri. And he writes one more thing. And I cremated him. Who? Bhadrabahu is writing. I cremated him and buried his ashes. So who's the witness? Bhadrabahu is the witness. So it's a real authentic source. Remember, I keep telling you, Bhadrabahu will come every time. 1 year he'll come. He'll pick some people and he'll go. He came up, he picked the Mauryan ruler and went. Getting it? And when Mauryan ruler goes down, don't you think people will be so fond? The Mauryan ruler is coming to South India and he is spreading Jainism. So one of the reasons for Jainism to spread in South India was Chandragupta Maurya. But a teacher going and spreading is fine, it will go. But when it will become popular, when a king goes and spreads, that's why the popularity of Jainism in South India is attributed to whom? Chandragupta Maurya. When he came, many people came with Chandragupta Maurya to South India. So South India, particularly the Shravana Belagola, became a great Jain center. Getting it? But today, okay, write it fast. Chandragiri. During medieval time, there was one ruler in Shravana Belagola. Shravana Belagola is a pure Jain site. Getting it? During medieval time, we'll do it a bit later, but just to tell you that information since we've touched it. A ruler made a big statue. The statue was called the statue of Gomateshwar or the statue of Bahubali, not that movie Bahubali. Are you getting it? There's a monk called Bahubali. He's also called Gomateshwar. Two names for him. Who was Bahubali? He was a son of Rishabhanada. Who's Rishabhanada? The first Tirthankara. So in Karnataka, they made a story about all the 24 Tirthankara, and this first Tirthankara's son was called Bahubali. He was also called Gomateshwar, and that ruler in Karnataka in medieval time, he made a big statue of that Gomateshwar. Today, that stands as a tallest monolithic statue. Getting it? And every year, today it's a current affairs, all the Jains used to come there near the statue and they used to do an Abhisheka. You know, pouring milk, all that Abhisheka is done during Mahavir Jayanti. That statue is not of Mahavir, it's of Bahubali. And once in 12 years, there's a big function happening in that statue. On that statue, it's called Mahamashta Abhisheka. Mahabhisheka is every year. Mahamashta Abhisheka is once in 12 years. They put turmeric water. Have you heard? Turmeric water, milk. They put flowers, tender coconut water. Lots of Abhisheka would be, 12 varieties of Abhisheka would be done. So all the Jains used to come there. During that festival only, the Digambaras who are there in the forests of Karnataka, they will all come there to attend that. Like how the Nagas used to come during Kumbh Mela. So the Digambaras all will come there. Digambaras were the naked one. So it's a big festival, the entire Karnataka. It's a state holiday. It is a state holiday and it's a very big Jain center. Which place? Near Shravana Belaga only you have this Chandragiri. There are two Chandragiri. Krishnadeva Raya constructed the Chandragiri fort at Andhra. Chandragiri fort at Andhra. This Chandragiri is at Karnataka. Sometimes there are some history to name. Yesterday in prelims we had one thing in South India, Mangad. There are two Mangad. It's megalithic site. I didn't teach you megaliths yet. So Mangad is in Tamil Nadu also. Mangad is in Kerala also. So there are two Mangad. There are two Hyderabad. One Hyderabad is there in Pakistan. One Hyderabad is there with us. So getting Gudiyam. So some names were there. When I teach you, I'll tell you. There are two names for some places. So likewise, this is Chandragiri, Karnataka. That would be Chandragiri fort. The moment fort comes, it's Andhra. The place comes, it's Karnataka. So that's a very big monolithic statue. It's not Mahavir because many people would think it's Mahavir. I hope you would have seen this statue. This is the tall monolithic statue. This is Bahubali or the statue of Gomateshwar. See how tall? It's a naked statue. Because Digambara, see later I told you the statue was made in medieval India. Which means imagine, medieval India, Jainism become a religion. The concept started twisting. It's a tall monolithic statue. Getting it? Look at the statue. Could you see? It's a monolithic statue. Imagine how big it is. So, you know, they do that Abhisheka and all of them. I think this is better. One thing. Okay. I hope it's there, ma. I thought I'll show you that Abhisheka. They used to pour that milk and all of them. Getting it? This is Bahubali. You could see some creepers all coming on his feet. Plant. When a person is taking that meditation, automatically, you know, plant all will start growing. He was so rigid that he attained moksha. Like that, there's a story revolving around him. So this is that big statue. Mahamashta Abhisheka. I think you can see it. Clear? This is one. So it's not Mahavir, to just tell you that idea. So this is about Chandragupta Maurya Kalpa Sutra, the first Jain text. You know how now Chandragupta Maurya died? The second one, you can add it here. The second Jain text, Parishta Parva. Parishta Parva by Hemachandra, book and author. So second book, Parishta Parva by Hemachandra. Who was Hemachandra? He was a Jain monk. Hemachandra was a Jain monk. So what does he say? He says that Chandragupta Maurya was a Digambar. I think we know that. Getting an extra information, we're getting it from which book? Parishta Parva by Hemachandra. He mentions that the first Mauryan ruler, Chandragupta Maurya, was a Digambar. Add on. Just an additional information we're getting in this book. He also talks about the same thing. He left Magadha, getting he reached Ravana Belagola, took Santara and all of that. But one extra information we're getting is he was a Digambar. So these are the top, two sources, what we club it under, the Jain texts to study about the Maurya. So Jain texts are not talking about whom? Ashoka. Buddhist texts are talking about Ashoka. Jain texts are mentioning about whom? Chandragupta Maurya. So clear? Number 5. Shall we go? The fifth source to study Mauryas. The Barabar cave inscriptions of Ashoka. I've given the heading also so that you should know who made the cave inscription. So who made the Barabar cave inscription? Ashoka made it. So in this cave inscription, what do we find it? There's something written on the cave inscription. Something is written on the cave. When you write something on the cave, it's called cave inscription. You write something on a pillar, pillar inscription. You write something on a wall, wall inscription. We say Brahadishwara temple wall inscription. Between the kings have written on the temple wall. Getting a cave, you write something, cave inscription. Ashoka wrote on a pillar, pillar inscription. He wrote on a rock edict. Have you heard Ashokan rock edict? Stone slab, rock. Are you getting it? So if I write on the ceiling, I'll be calling ceiling inscription. Floor inscription. So wherever we find the writing, we call it accordingly. So Ashoka has written something on a cave. So on which cave did he write? Barabar cave. So where is Barabar caves? Barabar caves is at Bihar. So what is found in this Barabar cave? It is mentioned that he writes, my father Bindusara donated 100 villages to the Ajivikas. So he writes, my father Bindusara had donated 100 villages to the Ajivikas, and I donate this cave to them. I donate this cave to them as a deed, as a document. So Ashoka is giving the cave to them as a document. So cave architecture began with Mauryas. So Ashoka writes, my father Bindusara. So who's Ajivika? Goshala, very good. Mahagoshala, Mahavir's teacher. What do Ajvikas believe in? Ajvikas believe in destiny, fate. Very good. They were Shaivites. So can we say Bindusara was a Shaivite? Bindusara was inclined towards Ajvika's sect. Donating 100 villages is not that easy. So you like someone, your faith, only then you give them. So Ashoka saw this. Mauryan court records also mentioned that. So now what is Ashoka doing? One thing extra. He wanted to give it something like a patta document. He wanted to give them so that you hold this 100 villages for life. So the cave is given to them. Today when you go to the Barabar cave, when you look at the Barabar cave, it stands tall to see whom? Ashoka. So that cave is an example to study whom? Study Mauryans. Could you see the cave? Ma? This is the Barabar cave. This is the cave. This is the entrance to the cave. Ashoka dug this, rock cut. That's what we say, rock cut architecture. We'll do it with architecture. You enter inside, say this is the cave. So here it is written. Inside, this is the inside view. Interior, it's like this. See how beautiful? It's like an assembly hall. The Ajivikas can go and sit there. They can rest here. It's their resting place. So state has given them something like this. And cave architecture. This is inside. Imagine how beautiful it is. So beautiful. Everything was hand and chisel. Everything was hand and chisel. So Ashoka knew the art of cutting a rock and digging a rock inside and getting inside and making a cave architecture. That's why we say Mauryans were propounders of cave architecture in India. They were the first to do cave architecture, rock cut cave. When I cut a rock, it becomes rock cut. So rock cut cave. So this is the Barabar. This is the entrance. This is the entrance to the cave. Look at the overall view. This is the entrance. So imagine at that point of time something decorated. So when you decorate a cave, you tend to know. See, the gates are all done by ASI. There were no gates and all. It was open cave. Anyone could enter. Are you getting it? But today we've grilled it because it's maintained by ASI. So look at the entrance. So they're trying to tell that this is donated to whom? So the cave belongs to which sect? Ajvikas sect. So Ashoka. So today you see Taj Mahal, you'll know Shah Jahan. You see Barabar cave, we'll study Ashoka. Simple. So this is an example to study. The fifth source to study Mauryas. Number 6. Indica by Megasthenes. So the next source to study is Indica. So who was Megasthenes? He was a Greek ambassador. Greek ambassador who visited the court of Chandragupta Maurya. I'll tell you why he came when I teach you Chandragupta Maurya. So he was a Greek ambassador. How many years did he stay in India? 7 years of Indian stay. His total stay in India was for 7 years. He stayed in India for 7 years. And this Indica was a book written in which language? He was a Greek ambassador. So obviously the language would be Greek. Greek or Chinese? Greek. He was a Greek ambassador. So the language of the book is Greek. Indica is in fragments today. We don't have the entire Indica with us. It's perished. But some elements of Indica, when you read it, we are able to find what exactly it was. So what is there in Indica? Number 1, it mentions about the political, economic, social, and religious life of the Mauryas. How was the polity of the Mauryas? Economy, society, religion. It talks about that in detail. Getting it, ma? So he's mentioning about the polity, economy, society, religious life of the Mauryas. Number 2, he mentions about Chandragupta Maurya. So in Indica, he talks so big about a Mauryan ruler called Chandragupta Maurya because he was in his court only. 7 years he was with Chandragupta Maurya. And what does he write about Chandragupta Maurya? About his character and personality. He mentions about the character and personality of Chandragupta Maurya. So humble he was, so grounded he was such a good king, he was 6 feet tall. So he's talking about his physique, he's talking about his character. Overall, we get the idea about which king? Chandragupta Maurya. The third one, he mentions about the city, Patliputra. So a special chapter, it's a special chapter. See, he glorifies one Indian city called Patliputra. It's on the confluence of 3 rivers. It has got this many gates. It's got this many tower. He talks about the city in detail. And he says that, the city was well protected. Getting it, you can't go out of a city that easily. And you can't enter into the city that easily. It's full of water fort. And he says about, wherever you go and stand, you could see the river Ganga flowing. And he's glorified the city so much, and he credits which king for that? Chandragupta Maurya for that. The third one. The fourth one, I'm writing it here. He mentions that there was no slavery in India, which is a wrong information. This is a wrong information. Don't you think slavery was there? Slavery was the backbone of Indian society. Get me, slavery was not that evil. Chanakya says in Arthasastra, slavery was essential, and he writes a big chapter about slavery. But what does Megasthenes say? Slavery was not there. So why? Maybe he did not see. His Greek slavery was a different one. Greeks, they used to beat them. They used to, humiliate them. They look so dirty. They'll not clean them. And they used to be tied up. But in India, slaves were not tied. Slaves were free. By seeing a master and a slave, you will not be able to identify. So maybe he was wrong in that. See, one information goes wrong in a book. Don't you think you will start doubting the book? So the fourth information in his book was wrong. The fifth information he mentions is that the Indian society was divided into. He mentions that the Indian society was divided into how many classes? 7 classes. This was also wrong. He mentions that the Indian society was divided into 7 classes. Were we divided into 7? No, we were divided into 4. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So maybe he saw washermen. He saw philosophers, teachers. He put them in one category. Because according to the Greek society, philosophers are one section. Whoever he saw, he put them in a class. So that was what he did. So this was also wrong. The next one, he mentions about the Pandyas of Madurai. One city of South India, Megasthenes is mentioning is the Pandyas of Madurai. Chera Chola Pandya. But among the Chera Chola Pandya, which one is he mentioning? About the Pandyas of Madurai. He calls this as an international market. I'm searching the market till today. I don't know where the market is even now. But he writes Madurai was a great market. Foreigners used to be there. It's a big, huge market. Getting it? And it was a city known for its pearl. Getting it? Pearls. A city known for pearl. Pearl trade. So a city known, you can write city known for pearls or you can write pearl trade. Madurai had lots of pearls. Getting it? Because pearl fishing, pearl diving was there. So he says they're known for pearls. It had an international market. And Madurai had a queen's rule. A queen ruled Madurai, mentions Megasthenes. Local rulers were there. So he writes that Madurai was a great city. Lots of pearls were there in Madurai and a queen ruled Madurai, mentions Megasthenes. So these are the 6 information. We get it from which book? We get it from Indica, written by Megasthenes. So this is about him. Queen's rule. Yeah. So which means she was a contemporary of Chandragupta Maurya. See, India had many queens rule. Many queens. If we look at Vakataka, we have Orissa, there were many queens. Many queens ruled India, but we don't take them as first. In history, it is like Razia Sultana, because she ruled the entire North India. So she is considered to be the first women ruler of India. When we go regional, every kingdoms have got their women. Have you got Rudrama Devi? Getting it, the Kakatiya dynasty, Prabhavati Gupta, Rani Mangammal. Many rulers are there much before Razia. But we glorify her. Why? Because the entire North India was under her. See, history is all about how victors write, winners write. We don't go regional. who had got India, we take that into consideration. So this is about Megasthenes, Indica. I stop here for today. We'll start from this. Clear, ma? So just read it accordingly. So I'll see you all soon. Yeah, thank you.